think I removed those effects. I said, take away all the effects. So it still looks a little blurry, but we'll see how I do. Anyway, welcome to a Finish Along meetup. It's so great to see you guys. Thanks for joining us, joining me, coming together, you know, all of those good things. And tonight we're going to do a little something different and fun, hopefully. A little show and tell from the shop. I ran in today with a couple of bags and I was like frantically noting down the things I was taking so that if anybody placed an online order and was, you know, one of my sweet colleagues was not running around the shop like, we should have another skein of this. Like, where is it? So I've tried to be very clear. And I really mostly tried to focus on thinking about sock stuff since we are going to head into Socktober soon, and the announcement email will be coming out next week. I think the next Wednesday email. So that's fun. And then I read a couple other things because I just couldn't help myself. But you know, it's hard because once you start like pulling stuff, you're like, well, I have to have this color. Well, I have to have this color. And oh, I forgot to do my do not disturb. Let's do that. There we go. Okay, so let's do yarn first. And so the first few yarns that I pulled out, I wanted to show you guys some of the vintage, because vintage is one of the yarns that will work really well for the beginner sock. The Rye Worsted Sock by Tin Can Knits that we're going to be using as our sort of happy beginner friendly option. Vintage by Barocco. It's a really solid yarn. It's one of our top sellers at the Goat because it's just a good workhorse. Vintage has a blend of acrylic and wool. So it's 40% wool, 52 acrylic, 8% nylon. So it's actually a little bit more acrylic / nylon than wool, but it does not feel in the least bit crunchy or munchy or plasticky. So I always like to have, it feels really soft. It's really squishy. And because it has that bit of, you know, acrylic and nylon in it, it's going to be a nice choice for a worsted weight sock in that it will hold up.
That's worsted.
This is a worsted. And I sort of pulled some, let me just see. I pulled some colors that are a little bit heathery, a little softer. This one in particular, I love. This is one we always sell. It's 5199. And it's just the prettiest blue-green, a little bit of gold in there. So it's a really good one. And then I brought this one, which is another one of our favorites. It's just such a pretty, kind of a heathery green. This one is called Fennel, and it's 5175. It's kind of a gold. There's a little bit of a gold undertone in this one too. There's definitely, I pulled mostly these kind of heathery ones, or the first ones. This one though is a solid, and it's a really nice golden mustard color. No heather in this one, and I'm just like gonna pull it my computer forward that way the light is a little better. Yeah, that's another good one. So I feel so vintage comes in DK weight as well. We had some people do their Sea Havens in the vintage, and we sell a lot of it to folks who are doing baby things because it is washable. It's a pretty easy care yarn, and especially for people that have wool sensitivities, you know, it does really feel soft. And yeah, so that's that.
Iris, can you give me the wool and the breakdown again? I didn't get it all written down.
Sure can. Yep, it's 52 acrylic, 40 wool, and 8% nylon. And in a skein, you're getting 218 yards in a 100 gram skein. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So next up, I have so now we're moving into like more traditional fingering weight yarns for socks. So all of these yarns are going to have some nylon or acrylic for strength. They're all going to be washable. And the first one is one that I wish you could feel it. So this is Queensland. It's Perth. And Perth is so beautiful and kind of tweedy with word I want variegation. So they all have this really nice, like slightly purple. And it is so what we're looking at here is 80 superwash wool, 20 nylon. And it feels very like woolly, sort of bouncy. I don't know how to say it, but because it has that ply, this is a really fun one too. They're all really interesting. There's a whole bunch of very sweet pastels, almost like sunset colors, but this is one of my favorites. And I don't know if you're even going to be able to get a sense of that nuance, but kind of gray, green, mauve.
Kind of mushroomy.
Kind of mushroomy. It's just lovely. And they're beautiful.
That's all fingering weight?
This is all fingering weight. It's 437 yards per ball, per cape. Okay. Next, I pulled some of these crazy ones. So you just get your eyeballs ready. Something is coming that's bright. All right. Are you ready?
Yep.
Wasco Sock Prism Paints. And this is by Araucania. And how this knits up is stripes.
I was going to say, is it striping?
It is. So you get more of the sort of solid main color. So the stripes are skinnier. This one is a really fun kind of neon grays. It's bold.
That was like Argyle.
It's really cool. And I love that there's just like this like sort of heathery blue that comes in, and feels very 80s if you wanted to flash back to the 80s. This is a newer one that just came in where it's like the bright purple, and then we've got some blue pink. So could be fun for someone who's into some wildness on their feet. And what you've got here is 75 superwash wool, 25 polyamide, and it's 433 yards in 100 grams skein.
And tell me the brand again, the name.
Yep. So Araucania is the one that makes it. But if you put in Huasco, it's Huasco, Huasco Sock, and it's called Prism Paints. And I guess they're hand painted. And actually, some of you may know Isla, who works with me on Sundays. And Isla made a really sweet and simple shawl using one of these bold skeins. You know, she wanted a real pop of color that she could throw on, and it looks really cool. It was the Be Simple shawl, which comes with some variations, Be Simple variations. It's a freebie pattern, simple, kind of asymmetrical kind of a thing with some eyelets. Very simple, but really shows off some fun colors like that.
So did it stripe out?
Yeah, yep, stripes it right out. So it's fun. Okay, well, now we're getting into some of our hand dyers. So first up, we have On the Round, and I'm just going to preface this by saying I wanted to bring every single color, but my bag was only so big, so I kind of focused in on some autumn tones for you, but there's a whole bunch. We just got a restock, and there's a whole bunch of ones that are also in the blues and greens family. So take a look at the website. And, you know, I've mentioned this before, but sometimes with our independent dyers like On the Round and like Seven Sisters, you know, there can be variations between there. I mean, that's just what happens. Sometimes it's a variation within a colorway that happens because maybe there's something that's changed about the dye composition. That happened recently with one of Rachel's colors from On the Round. So it really changes the look of the yarn. But for the most part, we try to keep our pictures pretty accurate on the website. But if you're like, hey, I'm really looking at these colors, can you just text, call the shop and we can use the shop phone to text you a picture. If you were like, hey, I want to know like how close to the website picture is the picture that is the current skein. So yeah. Okay, ready for this?
Give us price point too, please.
Oh yeah, yes. So I'm going to show you some Nimble Sock first. And Nimble Sock is a beautiful, it's a plaid yarn. And Rachel from On the Round uses a pretty incredible, very soft, high micron count merino. So it's a 19.5 micron count merino, which means it's extra soft merino. It's a superwash wool, 85%, and then 15% nylon. And in this 100-gram skein, you're getting 394 yards. So I would say that this is not like the skinniest sock yarn fingering that I've used. It's not plump. I mean, it's for sure still fingering weight, but it's like there's some sock yarns where I really feel like it's very fine, and this is not quite as fine. But this is colorway As You Wish. So if you're a fan of the Princess Bride, that is As You Wish.
That's your color.
Next up, we have Harvest, and Harvest kind of goes from beautiful purple taupes, a little gold in there. It's really stunning.
Like a gorgeous sock.
Totally. And I love working with this sock yarn. It feels great working with it. It's beautiful. Okay, so we've got these two. Now we're gonna add Gourd. So Gourd is a little bit more solid. There's definitely some little bits of flecks of reds and darker browns in there, but it's a luminous kind of goldenrod sort of color. Next we have Dahlia, which is one of my favorites. So it's 27. Did I say that already? Dahlia, look at this. It's like purples on this end, but then we get into some little golden, it really just does look like that variation that you get when you're looking in your garden at those gorgeous dahlias. So Dahlia. And then we have Fig, and Fig is a really sweet, like more dusty type of a lavender. There's some flecks, some specks. I see a little green fleck. I see a little reddish, a little darker purple, but it's more of a dusty lavender, I would say. And I didn't bring it because there was only one left, and I was like, if there's only one of something, I won't bring from the shop. But she has a new mini skein set, and we have one in the shop on the Nimble Sock base, and it's called Where the Mountains Meet the Sea, which is kind of Camden's little like tagline. We have our little ski mountain, and we have the ocean. Apparently it's the only ski mountain on the East Coast where you can see the ocean. And by mountain, if you live in the West, don't think of it, it's like you think of this as a little hill that people ski on. But it's our little mountain. And so mountains meet the sea. And Rachel developed some new colors when she was like making this gradient. So it's very special. I did bring one of her mini skein sets on the Nimble, and this one was one she did earlier this spring. So it's called Spring Showers. And Spring Showers has, let me read to you. It has Latte, which is this one. It has Eclipse, which is this one, because we had our Eclipse that people could see. Robin's Egg here. Hydrangea here. which must mean that the last one that I didn't really know was set in nope, hold on. Purple Rain. This is Purple Rain right here, like the Prince song. And then this is Set in Stone, which is a really cool little speckly, sort of neutral base, but speckles. And this is $63. And each one of these minis is 78 yards, and it's 20 grams. Yeah. Mini skeins, so much fun. Okay, oh, one more color. This is actually like current fave on Nimble Sock, Hydrangea, which you saw in a small skein on that one, but look at that. I mean, it is so hydrangea, right? Yeah. This is fun. I like show and tell. Okay, getting down here. I have some from Karen of Seven Sisters Arts Yarn. Her dye studio's out of Penobscot, Maine. And so Karen's sock base is called Meridian. And Meridian is 75 superwash merino, 25 nylon. It's $28 per skein. And on the skein, you're getting 463 yards. I would say that, so this is Bougainvillea. Really, her eye for color is pretty special. And so there's definitely some purples and then some beautiful pinks in this one, and even a little bit of red under the label. So I've knit socks with both Nimble and Meridian, and I love them both. This one is thinner. If you're like a looser knitter and you don't want to, it may mean that you might need to scale down on a needle size. I love working with this yarn too. It's it doesn't have this is Nimble Socks. It has a little bit of squish to it. This one not so squishy. Feels great though, and wears very well. And I have a pair of socks that I knit in Meridian a few years ago, and they've had no like felting, no anything. They've held up really well with wear. And it just produces a beautiful fabric, and I love seeing how the colors knit up. So compare Bougainvillea now to Wild Bergamot. So here's Bougainvillea, more to the pinks. Wild Bergamot is just this juicy, beautiful purplesy reds. There's some real deep red here, and then you get into some gorgeous purples. Some of Karen's read, and I'm going to show you one of these. Some of Karen's are more solid. So this one is, the color is Havran, I don't know. But it's definitely like there's maybe a little bit of variation, but it reads as a solid, beautiful blue. And some of hers are really like very color changey, like this one, Water Lilies, which has, greens, purples, blues. So it really depends. But I love that she sort of plays around with those semi-solids too. Okay. All right. Well, that is the yarn. That concludes the yarn portion. I didn't bring everything. This time. I couldn't possibly, but I tried to bring some fun stuff. And we have lots more sock yarn. We have the Malabrigo sock yarn. We have the Yalbul sock yarn. We have Regia. Yeah, there's just a lot of it. And I wish I could have brought you the whole store, but I didn't. But probably in not next week, because I'll be gone, but maybe the week after when I'm podcasting again, maybe we'll talk some sock yarns on the podcast. And I could also just bring a few more sock yarns to our next Zoom, Zoom a week after this one, which will be our last finish along Zoom, if you wanted to see more stuff. So I did bring some other things. So first up, I'm really surrounded here. My desk, it's pretty fun. So I did bring a copy of Summer Lee's book, which we got in stock when it was released in the spring. Summer Lee, sort of the queen of beautiful, fun, colorful shorty socks. And she does lots of things with like hand dyed yarn. So like has a whole section on fades, using sets and making a fade. She definitely has like technique, like here's some technique about different types of heels. She's definitely more of a fan of a top down. She'll tell you that right away. But she's got kind of like both some patterns as well as kind of more some recipes for socks, like here's, you can, that's the fun thing about socks. You can kind of make your own with various methods. But it's great for inspiration, and she's even got some for like thicker socks. She loves the short socks, I think because she lives in a warmer climate. I can't remember where right now. Let me tell you. Tulsa, Oklahoma. But it's a really fun, colorful, inspiring book. So we just restocked both volume 1 and volume 2 of the 52 weeks of socks that Lina Publishing put together. These are beautiful books. They are not inexpensive, but there's like a real variety of, designers that come together that they pull. So there's like, cable options. There's, little delicate, I don't even know if you'll be able to see, but like kind of a little texture going on there. So it's a beautiful book of inspiration, and there's charts. There's mostly, I would say, socks that are fairly unique, like they've got baubles, there's lace, there's really some quite beautiful options. Look at this one where there's like a little bit of lace that comes up the back of the heel. Ooh, very elegant.
It's pretty.
Yeah. And just because some people might not be knitting socks, maybe they want to knit a Christmas stocking. I know it seems crazy, but like this was a book that we got last fall for last Christmas holiday season, and like it has that kind of classic look. So there's lots of charts. I'm just gonna see. I think they're mostly for worsted. Some are a little bit lighter weight. Look at this one. I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well, but it's like a gnome with a fuzzy beard. This one, there's some really nice traditional, color work, charts, snowflakes, but it's a really fun one. Let's see. Oh. All right, so I also brought something that was brand new. We just got, we got it. We've been waiting for it, but these Granny Square, it's a Granny Square card deck. And so it's 50 gorgeous Granny Square cards that you can kind of mix and match. So it has a photo on one side, and then the pattern for it on the other side. And so that is $19.95. I can't open it, but I'll have to take their word for it. But yeah, so that was super fun. We were excited to get that. And
do you have that new book you've been showing on Facebook? The new book with the cast on bind-offs?
We sold out of them with the email today, but Kristen was reordering. I think she may have already reordered. So if you do want one of them, you can sign up to get an email alert when it comes back in stock, and it will push that right out to you. Those darn emails, they just work at selling stuff. So I brought also with me, and I know some of you already did this, but if you remember, Isla put together a workshop, and she had it in person at the Goat, and then she did a couple of virtual options, and we had leftover supplies, and we thought it'd be really fun to make up some kits for make your own project notebook. So it comes with, you know, a black and white notebook. It comes with some papers, and it also, and maybe most importantly, comes with a little kind of it's not gonna, it doesn't, you know, the thing that's a, oh yeah, Gwen, hold it up. Let me pin you for a sec. Hold on. Yeah, look at that. It's awesome. Yeah. She's got a place for her stickers and everything. So you took the remote class. So tell us about how was it to take the workshop?
It was fun. I set everything out on my kitchen table and talked you through it, and it was very excited to have done it, and I use it a lot for different things. I got a whole bunch of stickers and things up on top and tabs for places to go to and stuff. So just pulled it out because I needed to reference something that I knew I had in the book before, so just happened to have it there.
That's awesome. I will I'll show you mine next. You know, I don't know about you guys, but there's something about a notebook that, you know, if it's very fancy, then I probably won't use it. You know, if I feel like, oh no, it's so special.
It's too good.
This one, wait till you see this. Basically almost immediately you can see that I spilled water on it, but pretty much right away. And you know what?
Dear.
Because it was a black and white notebook, I was like, well, all right, that's okay. So like, I don't mind it if I have to scribble stuff out, or, you know, if I have a funny post-it that my son drew, or, you know, I skip a few pages by mistake. It doesn't matter. So what Isla did for us though is she kind of made a little 2 pages worth of like prompts, you know, things to think about, because one of the things that she did in the workshops was you've got to think about how you want to organize your own notebook, you know, because everybody's going to think about things differently. Maybe you need a lot of space for projects, or maybe you want to have a lot of space to write down little notes or workshop things or projects you're dreaming about. And so she gives some little ways to potentially organize. And then you get like a little bag of goodies in here with some stickers and some little papers and a date due book, like from a back of a library book, which is handy for sticking like yarn labels in. So those are fun. And I saved the thing that we're very excited about for last. We just got the Knitting Bag of Tricks, the official workbook from Patty Lyons to accompany her book, which might be underneath a bunch of yarn that I just piled all over my desk. But if you got the I think I found it, the Patty Lyons Knitting Book of Tricks, this was designed to kind of go with that. And it's not released till October 1st, but we got our first shipment yesterday. So it's available for pre-order. And I think we already have like 15 more on order because we knew they were going to sell out. But what's fun is it's really like a workbook. I mean, it's got little tabs along the side that, you know, exercises, stickers, my work, and she really walks you through, like, for example, this is the page, an exercise about swatching, swatch servations, she calls it, and then, you know, so you get some prompts about like, well, okay, what kind of fiber was it? Block your swatch and let it dry, measure the width and length of your swatch after it's done that. And, you know, you're comparing like animal fiber to synthetic fiber to plant fiber. And so you can really learn a lot. And, you know, sort of this plus the book. So here's like a little place if you want to like make a little photograph or something of your swatches that you've done. But, you know, there's sections on cast-ons, different ways to cast on, different ways to increase. So really, truly, like there's a lot that you could learn as an accompaniment to the tips and tricks book in terms of like really practical applications. So we're jazzed about that. Yeah, hands-on workbook, and I think the retail is $24.99.
Good.
So
Nice show and tell.
What?
Nice show and tell.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm glad for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, let's hear from you guys now. Wait, Julia, what are you working on? Is that one of your little cute little baby? Oh,
It
there it
is.
Mhm.
Let's see. We are at the point where I've got half the sleeve sewn on. And the pockets are installed. And I've decided on little brown lions for the buttons, but they're not on yet. I played yarn chicken, and I've got probably about 1/8 of a ball left over. So I feel good because this was a clean out the stash project.
Great.
So much progress is going on. It should be done this week, I hope.
Yay. Yay. Looks gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow. Anybody else have a little update project-wise for us?
I do.
Yeah.
Can I show?
Hear about it. I saw your picture you sent me. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Mm.
It's on button.
lovely. Show that again. That little doodad on the side.
Button on the bottom.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
button. It's a button. Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very lovely.
Thanks.
Looks warm.
And perfectly timed for the cooler weather when you'll want to be able to just put on your cozy poncho.
Yep. And I'm very happy
Awesome.
with the way it turned out.
Congrats. Better take some notes so I can remember what all happened here. Okay, anybody else?
If I can keep the dogs from barking while I do this. I was just going to mention you were showing the Meridian for sock yarn, and I got the Xenia in Meridian and made that pair of socks.
Pretty.
So this is
Oh,
what
those
they
are
look
nice.
like when the Meridian. It's really soft. I haven't worn them yet. I'm waiting for it to get warm, cold enough. And then I had enough fabric to make this little tie. It's just a little.
You love it.
It's called the Nettie Scarf by Lily Kate France. Kind of the latest one, similar to what was that other little scarf that we've all made a year or two ago.
It looks a little like the Marcel.
No, it was solid. It wasn't.
Sophie.
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
the
Sophie
Sophie.
scarf, right?
So it's about the same size as that, but it's airy.
Very cute.
Anyway, just wanted to drag that out. And this is my book that I keep, and I keep a little sample of the yarn, and I've had it, let's see, since 2020 or
Oh,
20.
wow.
So mine's very fancy, as you can see. Everything that I've done. So
That's awesome. Thanks. Okay. Anybody else feeling like show and tell? Yeah, Teresa.
Sweater I was working on last time, I finished it. I had the sleeve to go. So my niece's sweater is done.
Ooh.
That's cool.
Sweet.
I got
Yeah.
gorgeous.
I was like here, right? Remember I was like had this much to go or something like that.
Yes.
It took me the longest time. I made more mistakes in this amount of space than I did in the whole sweater.
The last 6 inches.
The last 6 inches. I think I had to take out like 2 or 3 rows, and then I had to, this lacy part, I had to take stuff down and go back up again and figure it out. And it was like so frustrating that but I finished.
You could like
Good
the
for you.
finish fight and you
Yes.
ah,
It was so inside and I couldn't get there.
and it was the Kylie pullover, is that right?
Yes. Yep. I don't think I brought that pattern with me. Yep. Kylie Pullover. And this is, I don't remember who's the designer.
That's
And
okay. I can find that.
yeah. And this was the Sandnesgarn Lina.
Hmm.
Kind of heavy. Actually has something to it. Cotton linen viscose, I think.
Okay.
And then because I was very anxious to get moving because I have all kinds of projects in mind for the holidays and gift giving. I had mentioned I was doing the Hap For Harriet from, I didn't have the pattern with me the other day. This is from Kate Davies.
Mm.
And this is the pattern.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh, I love that.
And
I've
Pretty.
made that.
yeah, and it's, so that's like the,
Mm.
Oh,
It's a hap, H-A-P.
yes.
That's
And
what
it's
they
all-
call their shawls.
Yep, and it's all pretty much garter stitch with some lace work, and I've got to figure out where I am because I didn't write it down, but this is where I got started.
Okay.
That's not too bad. Got these little points. So it looks funny because it's lace, you know, so until you block it, you don't really.
Gorgeous.
And this is, Iris helped me pick this out when I was up there. This is Sisters Astrid. And the color is Basalt. So it's
Mm.
Mm.
oh,
got really interesting colors in it.
nice.
Basalt is such a special one and actually a really hard one to capture taking pictures of. It's just like it's a beautiful, earthy,
Yep.
tonal.
In some lighting, it looks one color, has like almost lavendery tones to it, but then you put it in another light and it's very gray tones, very like those earthy, almost brown gray tones. It's really quite interesting. And then I also was very anxious to get started on the next pattern I have. This is a petite knit, I think. Petite knit.
Mm.
Oh,
This-
nice.
Crew.
Mm.
And I'm back and I'm so happy. I am back working with fleece.
Mm.
Oh, I love fleece. That's my all-time favorite.
It feels
Love
so
fleece.
nice. I've been a little struggle with this one. The pattern has these short rows and short row shaping is not my forte. So I think I figured it out. So I'm getting there.
Beautiful.
So pretty.
She had, which I thought was interesting, the designer had you do the collar, right? You're doing the rib collar. And then, so you just cast on. It doesn't say how to do it. She doesn't say do a provisional or tubular or anything like that. So I just did my usual cast on. And then she wants you to pick up the cast on edge to make a folded collar. Well, I couldn't make it happen without it getting crooked.
Mm.
Because when you cast on, for me, even when I do it with an extra needle to keep it wide enough,
Mm.
you still can't find the stitch.
Mm.
So I took it all out and I did a provisional, and then I knit the 2 stitches together.
Smart.
I've done that before, and I think that works fine. So,
Mhm.
but
I
It
forget
makes it so
how-
much easier to see it.
yeah, I couldn't see the stitches. I couldn't see to match the knit to the back purl, and I couldn't see to match the it just was frustrating. And I was like, why am I sitting here doing this if I know another way to do it? So I just went with another way.
Good for you.
So that's where I am, and hopefully I'll have some of that done soon.
Yay!
I love to knit in the evening. That's my thing.
I love that you're
Yay.
sitting outside. It's so gorgeous
Oh,
there.
it's beautiful. We've had beautiful weather all 6 days of school, and
Of course.
thank God.
So are you in Maine?
No, I actually live in the Hudson Valley. I'm in a small town called Pine Bush.
Okay, gorgeous.
Yep.
You were there last week too. I would meant to
Yes.
mention that last week. It looks so pretty.
Yes, thank you. It's a very pretty setting. We got very lucky when we found this place.
Truly.
Do you have a lake behind you?
No, what you're seeing it's actually going up a hill to a farm. There's a hayfield
Okay.
behind us, but on to my side here where the sun's coming in, we have a little stream down the hill.
Nice.
So we got near water. That was a big one. And it's not a big stream at all, but serves its purpose.
Mhm.
Well, if it's running right now, that's pretty good because a lot of our local streams have really been pretty low
Very dry.
after this
Yeah,
dry
it has been
summer.
pretty dry. We got lucky this weekend on, was it Friday night? I think we got some good rain Friday night, but not a lot, but we got some more than we had. It's been dry here too.
Mhm. I wanted to ask Mary Ellen, would you talk about making that Hap for Harriet? Would you tell us about what, like, that pattern a little bit? I'd love to hear it's fun to hear when other people have made some pattern.
Give me some pointers.
Oh boy. That was I actually took a class. But we didn't really learn anything in the class. You just kind of did it on your own. But I thought it was hard because you have to keep track of the lace as you go. I mean, I had to back up quite a number of times, but the piece is absolutely beautiful. I did it in an off-white, and the yarn was really nice yarn, and I mean, it's worth it. And then I was trying to help a friend, and she just did not get it at all. So I ended up practically making hers too.
You're a good
Needless
friend.
to say, I don't want to make another one after that.
Once was enough, or
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful, beautiful piece. I love it.
Yeah.
I really do.
I thought it would be, as I'm reading, like how they said, when they read what they tell you about the pattern, and they're saying it was just an easy knit. And I kind of, once I get into the groove, I'm good. But when I leave the groove and I don't write down a note, I'm in trouble. That's where I am now. I didn't write down where I was, and now I'm in trouble.
I mean, fortunately, the rows aren't all that long,
Right.
When you have to go back. But I did plenty of going back, and you just really need to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's really a beautiful piece.
Yeah.
You'll be happy with it. You'll love it, really.
Good. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
And Mary Ellen, I'd love to know, you used that lace weight yarn last week to make
Yes.
that other. I would love to know what that was so I can look for lace weight.
That is Malabrigo, and it's Silk Paca, SILK PACA.
What are you doing?
Let's see I have the fiber content on that.
Okay.
And that was the lace weight, Mary Ellen?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's lace weight. Yeah, Silk Paca. Well, you can't see it there. It's 420 yards, and it's 70% baby alpaca and 30% silk.
Okay, so you'd need 2 of them to do that pattern.
Yes, but you could get by with one. I'm almost done one, and I think I measured it, and it's about 16 inches in depth.
Are these
But
50
I want to
gram?
go 20. So I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Are these 50 gram balls? 50 grams?
Let's
It
see.
calls for 100 grams. It doesn't tell you how many yards. It just says 100 grams.
Oh, no, it says 420 yards here.
No, but on the pattern.
Oh, on the pattern.
Yeah.
That's because that's Izager, or however you say it.
Right.
That's all alpaca. I made them out of that. The other one, this is the first one I made out of this.
Okay, but it only
Oh.
took one ball to do the big version, or the, you know.
No, it was 2 for that too, or 1.5, 1.25. I mean, you can do it in one. It's pretty big. Like this is one.
Mhm.
Right.
And, you know, you can stop at one. It's pretty long. But I thought, I don't know, I did too. The yarn is not that expensive. It's, I don't know, maybe $12
Mm,
for each one.
No, that's
wow.
not bad at all.
No.
Is that something you can get, Iris?
We haven't carried it, but I just made a note to ask Kristen about whether we might want to, because you know,
Okay.
a lot of people looking to hold something together with another yarn too.
That's what it is for.
You know,
Or so.
with the lace
Yeah.
weight, and we have the Lang lace, and there's like a Rowan kid silk. But the thing about the Rowan kid silk to me is I feel like it's very fuzzy. It's very fuzzy, and I don't know. I don't know that I want my yarn to be like quite that fuzzy. I mean, it's really beautiful, and they have these very soft brush looking colorways. So it's lovely. I just for my taste, it's a little fuzzy.
You're not the only one who feels that way, Iris. I love it, but I have a friend who won't even let a ball of it in her house because she says, nope, no fuzzy yarn.
Yeah, and as compared to some of the other like lace mohair or lace alpaca, you know, like it just seems like there's a lot of fluff. And I mean, is you know, just like any other yarn at a certain weight, you know, there's a variation within that weight, but it does feel like there's a lot of fuzz happening.
Well, you know, this meridian, because this pattern, this little scarf thing, is very similar in pattern to that shawl. Yes, it's kind of an open weave like this, and this meridian is beautiful. It's not fuzzy at all. So if this were a bigger size, it'd make a nice shawl.
Definitely, yeah. Anybody else want to do some show and tell for us? Progress report updates. No pressure to share. Always just.
Are you
have you.
suggesting sock patterns for the sock along? Were you going to have one that everyone could do if they wanted?
No, so we will still do a like traditional, like what we've always done, where you know, since there's so many ways to knit a sock and a lot of people have their favorites, so that will definitely still be, you know, choose your own adventure, knit socks with us, knit a stocking, knit booties, knit whatever you want. We will have the sort of beginner friendly rye worsted as an option, and we also have a sort of spicy challenge option if you want to do something kind of wild, that some of us will be doing. And then anywhere in the middle, anything goes. Yeah.
So you're going to give us a list of options that we can choose from, and everybody's making the same yarn, same sock? I've not done the sock along before.
Yeah, no, I mean, so tradition, because we felt like, you know, hey, you know, people have so many opinions about socks, top down, toe up. People really like hate it or love it or whatever. And so we didn't want to get too, let's all matchy match with our socks. So we've always just done like, hey, it's Socktober, let's knit socks together. Let's just have a fun time making socks, whatever you want. But this year we thought, and this was Bev's good idea, this year we thought it'd be really fun to do a beginner friendly option where folks who are new to socks could have a pattern recommendation to work from if they wanted to. And I also, by the same token, thought, well, maybe it'd be fun to have something that would be really kind of a wild potential challenge for those folks who are like, yeah, you know, I've knit plenty of socks and I'm ready to do something different. And so that there's going to be that option. And then if you know, if you want to knit anything in between that, and I mean, I think part of the fun actually in having such a variety of patterns that we're all knitting is I'm adding to my pattern list, and somebody's got like, oh, well, this is my favorite method for X, Y, or Z, or I really like this designer. I've knit a few things. And so I'm always just sort of learning a lot in Socktober. And I think part of that is just the fun of like, a lot of us are doing something maybe a little bit different from each other.
Well, like the cookie swap, where everybody exchanges recipes. Not that we could probably do this with sock patterns because there's rules and regs, but if we could bring 2 or 3 of our favorite patterns and share them. So
that would be great.
Yeah, because I've got one Christmas a couple of years ago, I made everybody socks, and I made them all different patterns, found all these patterns that I loved. And so I tried all those patterns. So it'd be fun to see what other patterns other people have discovered.
I think that would be great. Kind of a way to get some new ideas and inspiration. And I just lost my train of thought. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So this year, I thought one thing that we could do to support our folks who might be newer sock knitters at our Zooms is maybe begin with maybe like 15 minutes dedicated to the new sock knitter. Any questions, if people wanted to show up for questions and conversation from the newbie perspective, and then we'd move into our regular old Zoom and share and that kind of thing. So I thought that could be kind of fun too, for people that are local to the goat and far away. So
great idea.
I hope 15 minutes is enough.
We'll see. And like we're not gonna just sorry, new beginners, you have 15 more questions, we're cutting you off now and moving on. No. We'll
hold your hand through the whole hour.
We will. We really will.
I guess one of the things I'd like to know is, because I've seen toe, you start at the cuff or you start at the toe, using double points or using magic loop. And I guess I would just be interested to know what people like and why.
Ooh, such a juicy question, Bev.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Because the rye pattern, gives you either the DPNs or to try the magic loop method, which I have no idea what we're talking about there, but okay. No problem.
Well, I would just jump in and say, if you know how to use double pointers already, go for it. Just be comfortable. Anytime you're doing something new, if you have a method that you already know about and that feels comfortable, let's not add too many new variables at once, maybe. And you could just stick with double pointers. And a lot of, the rye is a top down. And so they have it, they suggest different needle configurations, but I think a lot of us probably learned on double pointeds, and there's a lot of basic sock patterns that are still written for double pointeds because it's kind of a easy way to break it down. And so
some of us,
go ahead.
some of us just plain really hate trying to do magic loop. And if you started with double points when you were a preteen, you probably don't need to do something else unless you want to.
Right. The math is so much easier with double points for me anyway.
Yes.
Because you can divide it up on those 4 needles for exactly what's coming up next and go for it.
And there's actually a lot of when I was knitting the rye worsted sample for the shop, and I was using the flexi flips because I've been kind of experimenting with that as a new tool. And there was definitely I like them in a lot of, I really enjoy the flexi flips in general for smaller circumference knitting, but there was a funny bit where it was right at that point where I was picking up my side of my heel stitches and knitting across the top, where in my mind, because I sort of have, when I do a sock top down, what's imprinted in my mind is a double pointed setup, so in my mind I'm thinking I'm going up one side with one of my double pointeds and I'm going across the top with another double pointed. I'm coming down the other side of my heel with my third double pointed. Oh wait, now I've used up all 3 of my flexi flips.
What is a flexi flip?
It's a new tool that's got little points with a little thin strip in between that's flexible, and you can Cirrus can show you. I tried them
Let me
too,
just-
and I like you. I needed another hand. I needed one more help. So I've stuck with my double pointed. They're easier to manipulate for me anyway.
There's something powerful in manipulating them. I just like being able to manage that much successfully.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I
Yeah.
think it was maybe Judy who first turned me on
Yeah, I
to
Okay.
these.
Cool.
And so there's something to my hand that's quite comfortable. It just, I don't mind double pointers. I don't hate them, but this feels like it's a nice hybrid. The problem I have with Magic Loop, especially for a newer sock knitter, is it's, you're always moving that cable around and it can be a little fiddly. They talk about it can happen with double pointers too, but that little space, on the cable or the edge of your two double points, you can get what's called ladders where, you have to just think about your tension at those join anyway. But I like the flexi flips. I've also used the small shorty needles that I like those as well. So I'm kind of a person that likes to try the different tools. So back to Bev's question though, let's hear about why people like one type of needle versus another, or sock knitting method.
I like the double pointed too, because I'm with Pat. It's easy to keep track of where all the numbers are, and you don't have to, you don't have to rethink how it is with the magic loop. Because I've tried socks with the magic loop, but when you get to having, because I'm top down, I haven't done many socks, but top down, and when you have to do all of the other, the gusset, the heel and gusset and everything, it was just so much easier to have the double points because stuff stayed where it needed to be, and it didn't. Whereas with the magic, if I had to almost visualize what it was like on the double point, but do it on the magic loop. And that was a lot of brain power I didn't want to expend.
Plus, it's easier to control that tension when you're moving from one needle to the next. You can hold that a little tighter as you move on to the next needle. Whereas I always got ladders with the magic loop, and I finally just gave up with it.
Yeah, I ended up with more ladders with magic loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to teach. I'm doing magic loop a sock now. And
Okay.
I've always done double points. That's how I learned.
Yeah.
And but I don't like my hands being so crunched up with the little needles. So I started doing this, and I like it because the stitches don't fall off the needles as much as when you have the little ones. But the problem is when I get to the heel, I'm like, I don't know what to do. So I was doing these YouTube videos, and I hate that I have to get online and find one and do it. So I'm determined to teach myself how to do this with not. So then I was just putting it back onto the double pointed needles. I've made like 5 pairs of socks, putting it back onto the double pointed needles, then taking them off to do the bottom of the foot.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get a pattern where I can just learn it and do it. It can't be that hard.
I hope it.
I just have to get my brain there.
It can't be that hard. You're right. It's just what you get used to, what your preference is. I
Yeah.
can zip along with my double points. Why mess with that?
Yeah.
Well, and
Same-
when I think back to my first, because I think I learned with the good old Yankee knitter sock pattern, which we
Me
still
too.
stock.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one thing that I noticed looking at that pattern now with like my kind of being aware of other patterns out there is I noticed that she does not have a measurement, like when she's talking about your sizes. She doesn't have a foot circumference measurement, which has become much more standard in like newer patterns for sizing wise, because of course the length, you can customize the length, you just stop knitting, sooner or later. But I remember knitting my first pair of socks and just being like, would someone just please show me a diagram of what I am doing right now? Like, I really just wanted a visual. Of course, that was way before the internet and whatever. And I mean, I don't even know. So I was just like following this pattern blind. Like, okay, I guess I'll do this. But what the heck is she talking about? Picking up stitches along the heel? What? So that's the beauty of the Tin Can Knits pattern, is that you get all that beautiful hand holding in terms of just the lay of the land of this pattern. Like, we know how our foot is shaped, and we know that we're trying to make a thing to fit the foot, but like, what are the different pieces? And I guess I didn't even really necessarily have the vocabulary to understand what I was being asked to do. So Tin Can Knits does do a really nice job of that, and you'll have all of us, Bev, to talk you through all of the parts.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But my sum total use of double pointed needles so far is using one as a cable needle.
It's a start.
Probe it up.
Yep. Wow.
It's all
We're
good.
already at 6:03, and let's see. I don't think we've heard from Judy. Hasn't said much tonight. You have anything to share, Judy? Oh, you're muted, I think. If you tap you're on a screen on your like iPad, or are you on a laptop or iPad? If you tap the screen, you should see a little microphone icon come up. No. Oh, darn it, because you were unmuted before and I could hear you. Uh-oh. That's the one thing that I don't like about Google Meet. I think with Zoom, I can unmute someone.
Oh, they don't give you that power?
No. Well, Judy, I'm sorry. I wanted to hear what you were talking about. Can you show us? I'll pin you. Can you just show us and we'll okay, she's got some yarn, making a shawl.
Making a shawl, wrap.
It's charades.
It's charades on Zoom with knitting. Oh my God.
Oh, it's fun.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out. I think we may be going back to Zoom for Socktober. Yeah. Well, thank you all for popping in. So we will not be meeting next Wednesday. Okay. We will meet the Wednesday after that, and we'll have our final finish along meetup. We'll probably have a few more finished objects by then, and we'll do a little celebration of everybody's accomplishments, because you guys have been finishing stuff like a champ this summer. So yeah, let's meet up in 2 weeks and celebrate, and then it'll be practically October by then, right?
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. This time's amazing. One of my favorite times of the year, and it flies by so fast.
It does.
Yep.
Mine does. Well, thank you so much for being here, and happy knitting, and see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Thank you. See you.
Everybody.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you.